And as always, we appreciate you being here at 6:30 for ABC 24 Weather Impact Now. I'm Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett. So happy to be back with you on this Wednesday. Now, meteorologist Kit Thomas taking some time off. We will be back together next week. And right in time because we have some very active weather ahead. After a pretty quiet stretch of weather lately, kind of lucked out without much severe weather this spring. Seems like our luck might be running out. We have a little bit of an active weather pattern on the way. Not one, but two threats for severe thunderstorms on the radar. First one is going to be Friday evening and Friday night. And then we have another one on Monday. Monday is catching my eye a little bit more. We'll talk about why here in just a little bit, but we'll break down Friday evening first. Most of the day, Friday looks okay. This is going to be late Friday evening, Friday night. A couple of storms will develop. They will not happen everywhere. That's the thing. They're going to be pretty isolated. But if you do see a storm Friday, it could produce high wind gusts and hail. Again, I think the risk on Monday could be a little bit higher. Those are kind of the two systems we're watching. I think Friday evening and Monday when we have the best chance of rain. The weekend in between looks mostly dry. So that is some good news if you want to get out this weekend. Aside from a very slight chance of a shower, most of Saturday and Sunday should turn out dry. I don't think it's going to be anything that will make you cancel or relocate your plans for the weekend. But before we get to the weekend, we have to get through Friday, and that's what I want to talk about here. This is your severe weather threat for Friday. We have a pretty sizable level 2 slight risk for severe weather. But notice that it's kind of centered back over Arkansas. So what we're thinking is as the storms move east, they're going to weaken. That's why that risk goes down as it crosses the river. So again, there is a risk for strong storms Friday, but it's just a pretty low risk. Really, the storms are going to be kind of spread out to where not even everybody sees a storm. But if you do, could be a little stronger. Here's the radar for Friday. We'll start off Friday morning. I think most of the day is dry. There could be a few showers in the morning. It would be lighter rain, but I really think most of the morning and afternoon Friday will be dry. There's 5 o'clock. Most of us still pretty clear. But once the sun goes down, we get past dinner time, we start to see that line of storms come in from Arkansas. Now, some of us are going to see some rain out of this. There is the potential, though, Friday evening for one or two of these storms to maybe be a little bit stronger by 9 or 10 p.m. in Memphis and then into North Mississippi after that. Again, the risk here is pretty low, but I want you to be aware Friday evening and Friday night, a couple of storms could be a little stronger. Now, I'm not worried about a tornado concern Friday evening. I think if a storm does turn severe Friday, it's going to have a better potential to produce high wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour. And maybe some hail at times. Now, even then, that risk is relatively low. This is not going to be a big severe weather outbreak on Friday. But if you have plans, if you've got stuff going on, I at least want you to be aware of the possibility. So Friday, the time to watch, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's the window where some storms could be strong. Hail, high wind gusts, certainly possible. I wouldn't cancel your Friday night plans because these will be isolated. They're not going to hit everybody. Some people will stay dry Friday night, so don't be surprised by that. But you want to keep an eye on the radar and be prepared to move your plans inside if storms do start to pop up close to you. Again, main concern Friday evening, it's going to be some hail and high wind gusts. The weekend overall, though, looks pretty good. Partly cloudy Saturday, high of 81. I did throw in a slight storm chance Sunday for some of those isolated pop-up thunderstorms. I still think most of the weekend is dry. So if you've got plans, I think the weekend looks okay. It's going to be Friday and then again on Monday. Kind of a multi-day severe weather outbreak taking shape. We'll kind of walk this through day by day. Here's Saturday's severe weather threat, pretty elevated back in Oklahoma and Kansas. And then some of the same spots again on Sunday. So kind of a slow-moving system at first, and then it finally starts to get its act together and move ahead on Monday. Storm Prediction Center already outlining not only Memphis, but most of the Mid-South in that severe weather possible zone. We'll see if it goes up to likely. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think this is probably our most organized severe weather threat we've had so far this year. This has the best ingredients, the best wind energy. I think Monday is really a day to watch for potentially some pretty potent severe weather in the Mid-South. Now, something I do want to make a point of, when we're under a risk like this, it does not mean that everybody is going to see a severe thunderstorm. What it means is the ingredients are in place in this zone for maybe some severe thunderstorms somewhere. It does not mean that your house specifically is going to get hit by a severe thunderstorm, right? And this still means these are going to be pretty isolated, but the ingredients do appear to be in place on Monday for some severe weather. I know a lot of you have storm anxiety. That's why I explained that to you. I also grew up with storm anxiety. So I'd like to give you that heads up that just because we're saying this doesn't mean it's going to happen everywhere. Still, the odds of you in particular being hit are statistically pretty slim, but it is a potential you need to be aware of. Coming up a bit later, we're going to talk about some tips on how to get through storm anxiety and things you can do to prepare for severe weather. Walking this through, though, a bit in the long term, there's Friday. That first cold front comes in, brings us some isolated storms. Saturday and Sunday, I think, are mostly dry. Weekend looks pretty good, but then by Monday, here comes the next storm system, and you see it's more of an organized line of storms right along that cold front, and maybe even some cells that fire up ahead of the main line. That's what's a little more concerning on Monday, is we could have those supercells that develop ahead of the main line, and those are typically where we see our highest severe weather threat, if we get those cells that develop kind of out ahead of the main line. Here's the storm energy. There's Friday. Yeah, we've got a little bit of it. That could support some gusty wind and hail. But watch what happens over the next few days. You see that bullseye in Oklahoma on Saturday. Sunday, a very similar setup, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri. Monday, we see some of that bullseye get over to us. So notice how much higher the storm energy is on Monday compared to Friday. Now, I'm not saying Friday is going to be in the clear. There's a chance of a couple of strong storms, but I think Monday is the day to watch for more widespread, possibly even significant severe weather. So that is something to keep an eye on. And again, coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to have some tips to make sure you can stay prepared without being scared, because as long as you're prepared, you don't really have to be scared of storms. Now, that's all bad news. We don't want severe weather, but in some good news, indications are some of us could see 2 to 3 inches of rain out of this, which is good. We need the rain desperately in the Mid-South. We've been in such a bad drought, and it keeps getting worse. Severe, extreme, exceptional drought in much of northeast Arkansas, northwest Tennessee, and down into the Mississippi Delta. Pretty unusual to see a drought in April because this is typically our rainiest month. Of course, we had over a foot of rain in like 3 days last April. So we need the rain. We're going to get some, but just not nearly enough to get us out of the drought. To put it in perspective, we've seen about 10.5 inches of rain so far this year. We typically see almost 19 inches of rain by this point in the year. So we're down 8 to 9 inches of rain, and that actually makes this statistically the 7th driest start to a year on record in Memphis. Records go back to the 1800s, so very unusual to see this dry weather this early in the year. Still do have some burn bans. That includes Crittenden and Phillips County in Arkansas, also Marshall, Benton, and Lafayette County in Mississippi. That just means you cannot do any kind of outdoor burning without a permit because fires can spread out of control so quickly with as breezy as it's been and, of course, how dry it has been. You cannot do any outdoor burning in those areas. Probably a good idea, even if you're not in a burn ban, to try to avoid some of that outdoor burning. Checking in with today's forecast, though, it's been pretty quiet. 81 the high today, a little warmer than average at 75. Record is 90. Set back in 1980. We all know how hot of a year that was. Sunshine, beautiful sky over there in downtown. Current report is 79. Still a little bit breezy. Winds out of the southwest at about 15 to 20. Clear tonight for the most part. We dropped to 61 in Memphis. A couple of friends could get down to the 50s if you're in the suburbs, just a little bit. But in general, temperatures right around 60 degrees when you wake up tomorrow morning. And then a pretty warm day tomorrow. We get right back to the mid 80s. Maybe a couple of more clouds in there, but still plenty of sunshine and a very slight chance of a sprinkle. I threw this in kind of just to cover myself just in case. There have been a couple of models that indicate a shower or two. Notice over there in Middle Tennessee, a couple of drops of rain. And then maybe, look right there at 3 o'clock, a drop or two in Mississippi County. So nothing impactful tomorrow, but there could certainly be a few isolated sprinkles for your Thursday afternoon. Most of us stay dry. Of course, the big story is going to be those 2 severe weather threats coming up. Friday evening, a couple of strong storms. Monday, I think, is a higher severe weather risk. So be sure you stay updated on the ABC 24 app. You can scan that and get to it with that QR code. If you open up your phone's camera and point it there, that will take you to our app either for your smart TV or for your cell phone. You can watch our weather coverage there, get the latest forecast. Also, just keep an eye on the radar anytime you want. Again, tomorrow looks pretty good. Partly cloudy, 83, very slight chance of sprinkles. We've got a weather impact alert for Friday, though. In the evening, closer to dinner time, there could be a couple of storms that pop up that could produce hail or high wind gusts. It's not going to happen everywhere, but a couple of us could see some strong storms. Saturday and Sunday look okay. 81 Saturday, 82 Sunday. Very slight chance of a pop-up storm for the weekend, but I don't think it's going to be enough to ruin your plans. Monday, though, is really a day to keep an eye on. Weather impact alert, more ingredients in place. This could be a bit of a stronger severe weather setup and threat with high wind gusts, hail, and possibly a few tornadoes. That's really a day to watch. Tuesday looks okay, sunshine and 78, and then another storm system Wednesday that brings us some more rain, maybe some thunder, with a high of 77. So again, we haven't dealt with much severe weather this season. I know some of you have to deal with storm anxiety. Coming up after the break, we're going to detail some things you can do right now to be prepared for spring severe weather season and some things you can do to make sure you're not as scared. It's coming up after the break.